All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome out today because today is MLK Day. And, for us over here at Give It to the People, we always want to respect the tradition of MLK Day, which a lot of people consider that they do service on MLK Day. And so today, our service is to bring you something that I think is necessary for everybody and timely. And so this is going to be, and I know you'll probably be like, what? But this is going to be our last and first from chaos to control biz series of this year. And I'll tell you why at the end. So LaShon Harley is our guest today. And not only is she a member of the Give It, Get It business membership, she is also an expert trainer. And she is definitely one of my mentors. And I get to rack her brain all the time with all kinds of great questions, suggestions, ideas, and everything that you could possibly imagine that helps to, facilitate growth within our businesses. And it's one of those things that I think is a mutual respect, which spans age doesn't matter, gender doesn't matter, belief, it's just about what we can do to make ourselves and our businesses better. And that's what we do on a regular basis. So today, again, this is going to be something where we are going to share with you so that this way you guys get to really understand what breaking down silos means. But before we jump in, I'm going to bring up the presentation. LaShon, I want you to be able to introduce yourself, tell people who you are, and thank you for joining us today. You're on mute. Hold up.
Thank you. I put myself on mute to make sure no sounds came while you were making when you were making the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is LaShon Harley. They call me also LaShon. I'm also known as the lead igniter because they say I can fire you up and give you so many different options to look at different things in different ways, and then help you put it together and set up an action plan. So I fire you up and I get you excited. I'm fired up about helping entrepreneurs and founders and people even for themselves, because you got your own business. I like to help those who are visionary and those who are forward thinkers align their purpose and vision together and get on that navigation of an action plan of getting where they need to go. So I'm a sounding board. Some people, like she used to say, I'm her mentor. I don't usually put that out there. I let people classify that, but I'm an advisor. I'm a coach. I'm a trainer. I am here for you. And that's what this is all about today. So this is my give back also to society, because as Dr. Martin Luther King says, you got to serve and give to others. So serving is giving you what you need, because sometimes the biggest problem for many of us, and I'm getting in the part of what we're going to talk about, but I got to say this, is that you don't know what you don't know until somebody exposes you to what you didn't know. And hopefully that's what we're here to do with you all today. So I hope I've already got you excited and motivated for what we're going to talk about, because Chisa and I can feed off of each other. And that's what we're hoping we do for you, and feed you all some good, not only information and knowledge, but also that we give you all what you need to order to be filled with understanding and wisdom.
Definitely. And for all of you that know, this is Tammy. Tammy may come out, our executive assistant. She loves to just chime in when
Now,
good
do,
things
do
are
you do you
said.
want me to get her partner? Because I got Gordy over here. If you want me to go
Get
get
Gordy.
Gordy.
Get Gordy if you need
Okay,
to
let
get
me go
Gordy.
get Gordy.
Listen, we are not playing with this 2025. So I thought her introduction was just too good. So I'm going ahead and giving her a little Tammy. She's going over there to get Gordy. Okay, where's Gordy at? We're going to introduce Gordy to you guys for 2025.
Yeah, I got Gordy and I got Danny. So I got both of them. So
Okay.
this is Gordy.
Ooh, okay. Gordy has a cute outfit on.
And the
Okay.
djembe drum, that's Danny.
Come on, djembe. I love that. All right. So you guys can tell we have big fun all the time, right? So let me pull up our presentation just so that you guys are aware of where we're at for today. And then this way we're going to just jump right in. And if you have any questions during this whole entire time, please feel free to ask a question so that this way, we can go ahead and see it inside of the message and then hopefully answer that question for you. So with this today, just to let you know, When we jump into this presentation, this series was designed to be something that was dynamic so that it would inform business owners when we talk about going from chaos to control, where I always say that there's something that's really messed up and then there's something that we need to fix. And so that's how I look at the chaos to control. And so what we do is we partner with leading companies similar to Being and Becoming, government agencies and organizations, so that this way we can try to simplify processes for you. And so a lot of times what happens is people are often in a situation where you just don't know the answer to something, or somebody, has a piece of information that you knew part of it, but now that you know something different, or there's an add-in, or there's some type of change, now you can get additional content to go along with that in order to be able to make your business successful. So that's what we want to do here with this particular series. Now, this is where we want to start, is by having a definition, because I always believe in defining things so that this way we're on the same page. So when we talk about this series, breaking down silos, LaShon and I kind of discussed, well, what would be good, because specifically this was going to be on MLK Day. And, she came up with the idea of, people with the silos. This is also in alignment with what we're doing here at Giving to the People, to try to do exactly that with the Give It, Get It membership, because we want people to be connected. And oftentimes, LaShon and I are on a lot of different groups where we meet online or we meet in person, and it's just the entrepreneurial service organizations, but it's not necessarily, pardon me, the business owners. So the thing is, if you're in, as it says on the definition, an isolated group, a department that functions apart from others, it could hinder communication, because we're thinking we're doing a good job communicating together, but are we actually asking the business owners what they want? And to me, that's one thing that was important, was that we didn't stay in this silo, that we did have something where we were able to communicate together, which is how we created the membership. So with this, LaShon, I want to know, for our first question would be, oops, hold up, going the wrong way, would be, what are silos in relation to the business community? And how do they affect collaboration among business and entrepreneur organizations? So how do you see silos? Unmute.
Thank you. There was a little noise over here, so I'm sorry I put it back on mute. So this is a good question, because a lot of times we operate in silos and don't even know that we're operating in silos. So sometimes I'm gonna give the biggest one, and this is in life. If in the groups of people, you are the smartest one in the group, you're tending to be in a silo. Because it's just you standing alone by yourself, and you're having to rely upon yourself. Not saying people aren't good, not saying that people aren't trying to move forward. They just don't know what you all just don't know together. So that's the context. Many of us, especially perfectionists, we try to do everything, and we think no one can help us. That's operating in a silo. Not getting out of your comfort zone, going to meet people who are different. That's operating in a silo. Not talking to your customers, even before you start something and while you're doing it. That's operating in a silo. Not being willing to be flexible and adaptable. That's being in a silo. Not listening. Sometimes we hear but don't listen. That's a silo. Not looking for ways where you can collaborate, where it's a win-win situation, and not where I've got to get it all. That's a silo. Past experiences dictating what you're going to do in the future and how you're going to push off from people. Those are silos. And a lot of them are silos that is affected, especially those who are first and second generation entrepreneurs. And for me, let me say this, founders of a nonprofit, you're part of that entrepreneur group when I say that. So these are several of the silos that happen, as well as with Chisa and Give It to the People, going to help folks with capacity. Capacity issue allows you to operate in silos, and then not going beyond even the circle of people you know. So this affects you because this can hinder you going forward. This can hinder your expansion. This can hinder people knowing about you, and this can hinder you doing things the hard way rather than the easier way. We're doing things harder rather than smarter. So even your collaboration with others, their first impression of you, you've got to get over that hurdle now that you created, because their first impression of you was not really the true impression of you. So that becomes a problem. And then we also have misconceptions about folks as it relates to those silos that we feel like you're alone. You don't want to work with others. You don't want to be with others. Where if we are two heads are better than one, we can move forward. We can act better. So collaboration is the key. No one does anything by themselves. Everyone needs someone, because the biggest one, when people say, I pull myself up by my bootstrap, someone had to accept you in the training. Someone had to accept you in the school. The bank had to offer you the loan. The customer had to come and buy from you. You never do anything alone. So to operate in a silo is to actually disservice yourself, and especially your business and your clients.
No, you brought up a lot of great points. And I think that one of the biggest things when we talk about silos is there is a desire to want to do better. And a lot of times people accept certain groups where they feel like, okay, well, this group is important, and so I want to get into that particular group, but then they isolate themselves because they're not really the type of people who really actually want input from other people. And I think that, to me, out of everything that you said, when we talk about the silos, if you're going to get into groups and you're going to be successful, you have to understand that input from other people is something that's valuable. It doesn't mean that you have to take all of the advice, but it does mean if you have 100 people telling you the same thing, then it might be that, you might should actually do some of the things that people say. And I think a lot of times people will, this is what the old people say, cut their nose off despite their face, because they want to be in charge, or they want to be the main person. And so for me, I always look at the fact of, I always say, when it's time for me to shine, I am going to make sure that I am the person that's in charge, Queen Bee, if you want to say it like that. But when it's time for other people to shine, then I make sure that those people shine. And to me, that's a strength. It doesn't have to just be that you are the center of attention all the time. And you can be smart, right? But the reason to go into places is to be able to kind of, like we said, break down those silos and find out who else you can connect with inside of there. So one thing that I think was important that you discussed, and I want to go to like our next question, is chaos and consequences, right? And I say this because you have a definition of chaos. And so for me, I just say chaos is messed up. It's stuff all over the place. You can't think. It just is throwing you off, right? And so to me, chaos could be a whole lot of different things, but there are consequences that come with chaos when it comes to having yourself be like center of attention, or your group be center of attention, and you not allowing other people to actually really be able to help you in that way. So what does chaos mean to you? And what are some of the unintended chaotic consequences that they create?
So chaos to me means that you've got a lot of things going on and you're doing a lot of things, but nothing's going forward. So you can still even be in the same place, but nothing's going forward. It can feel and appear to be going forward, but it really isn't going forward. That can be chaotic. So that's what chaos means to me. If it's not something that's adding value, and I call it the hand effect. If it's not adding value to you, to the people you're doing it for, not adding value to the entity or organization that which you're doing it about, it's not adding to the community, and it's not even adding to those who are funding and other sources and other stakeholders, then it's chaotic. It's got to be about adding that, because it's like this. We have this, and when your hand is wide open, it can't make as much of a force as when it's together. And that's why I call that chaos, because it's just meaning it's just busyness and busy work. And the unintended consequences of it is the biggest one for most people is unfulfillment. I'm gonna start with that one because I've been
Woo!
hearing
Come
that
on.
resounding so much. Yeah, you want me to get what you want? You want Gordy or you
Get
want
Gordy. Get
get
Gordy.
Gordy? Okay,
Unfulfillment.
Gordy. All
Yes.
right. Unfulfillment has come up a whole lot because everybody else can be happy, but if you're not, then that's chaotic for you and you don't realize how it comes off. So first and foremost is what are you doing that's giving you fulfillment? And fulfillment for each person is going to be different. And it's beyond a lot of times we're like, well, my business is successful, but are you getting joy? It's not even about happiness, it's about joy and what's going on. Then the consequences of the chaoticness is that you go everywhere, anywhere with no destination. So how are you going to know where you are, where you're supposed to be if you don't even know where you were going? And too many people like to do the things, well, let's go ahead and start flying the plane and we'll build the plane as we're flying. Well, you know what? You may be building the plane while you're flying, but if you didn't put the right tools and equipment on the plane for where you're going, then you still can't get to that destination. You may land somewhere else beyond where you're at, but you're not going to get to the destination you were supposed to get to. Other consequences is the fact that other people won't include you. You won't be a part of what's going on. You ending up having to be a reactor rather than being proactive. Rather than being a part, you come aboard. So rather you helping to build something, you getting on the back seat of the trains. You got to go along with what everybody else is saying and doing, and you work harder. You spend more of your resources doing what you have to do. Then your brain is scattered and you start getting clouded and you start getting confused because you're like, am I doing the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Well, that was wrong the last time. What about this time? You start second guessing everything you do, and now you're becoming even reactive to yourself. So the chaosness that you put yourself in has a lot of consequences that happens long term and short term in life. And sometimes you're in such a spiral and gone down that rabbit hole, you don't even realize you're in the hole. You're seeing glimpses of light, not realizing you're not seeing the end of the tunnel. So those are some of the different things that just happens to people. And the list goes on, but those are the main things I've been seeing with a lot of people recently that has really been affecting them, if their business, their organizations, their workflow, even their family lives and themselves.
Yeah, and that right there, the consequences to me, summing up what you said, is that mental wealth. Because since it's so chaotic, you're not getting the opportunities that you would have gotten had you not necessarily been in a silo.
Mhm.
And I love what you said about, even thinking about the fact of people not including you. And I've been in some, some situations where I think that, people are like, well, why wasn't I included? And I mean, even myself, as some things I'm like, well, why didn't people include me? I don't think that it's not necessarily just because of, me per se, right? And so this is just internalizing it. Sometimes other people are so chaotic they didn't even think about it. Or what I've experienced is, and I'm just saying this from some personal experiences, is I've been in a situation where a person is like, well, I didn't think you would. And so what happens is, because I try to stay organized and because the other person is chaotic, they didn't think that I would participate in stuff. And I'm just like, well, you can't ask at the last minute, right? So if you plan properly, then this way your consequences could be even better. Or, oh, help me do stuff at the last minute. And it's just like, you're not considering what happens in my life. So I'm looking at this from a consequence of there could be people who do want to help, but you're not even giving them the opportunity to be able to help you because you're so chaotic and your situation is not my problem, right? And so a lot of times, if we have our stuff together, you'd be surprised at how people are willing to give, to be able to share, to be able to communicate, to be able to work with you, to be able to volunteer. And so for me, just taking what you said, you took it from a internalized like an individual, but what about the people on the outside of that who do want to help and who would help if you had your stuff together, right? So I mean, I love that. And that right there is something where it's like it just makes me understand. So now we've kind of talked about some of the negatives. So now let's go to some of the positive impact. And if you could tell me like a specific example, because silos aren't all bad, right?
Right.
But how have some silos positively impacted a business or organization? And I have something specific in mind. I don't know if you're going to go this way, but I'm just going to throw out a little thing since it's MLK Day, like Black Wall Street, the original Black Wall Street, right? Was a silo, but it was a silo. Why? Because we didn't have a choice but to be together, right?
Mhm.
So to me, that was one of those things that was a positive impact. I know you have something that you want to kind of give us that can be a positive impact, but if you could also, just let us know, your thoughts on the original Black Wall Street, because to me, that was something that was positive. And then of course, people decided that it was too positive. So, let's tear it down. But go ahead, let me know, what are some positive impacts of silos?
And the great thing about you saying the Black Wall Street is we're finding out that because they operated in silos, there were several Black Wall Streets going on concurrently.
Yep.
And bringing out from each other. And those silos were very important to them and was positively impacting them because it was actually helping to build up their community. Many of the Black Wall Streets, as we are finding out, they were areas where people were pushed to one side. And it was hard for them to go to other areas. They would have to spend money to go to other areas. It may not have been safe for them to go to other areas, but it also wasn't building up their community. So it was a way of looking at how do I build up my community? How do we create the silos where we're interacting with each other? And this one was forced by it, but there are several other communities, and still to this day, that took lessons from the Black Wall Street silos. And I'm putting the S because there were so many of them that we're finding out that there are many communities of today where they're trying to build dollars within their community. They're actually creating, I'm gonna call them a version of a silo. Where, like, for example, Durham has the card where support Durham businesses. So you get the card, and you actually can only do it with the businesses and that's kind of like a silo, but they're actually building up their community. So it's a way of looking at it where why spend outside of where we are when we can actually help each other, which we talked about before, of that collaboration of win-win. They were like, how can we win with each other? And then some of those people in the community knew how to deal with people outside of the community. So they brought to the community those things from the outside where others didn't necessarily have to deal with it or worry about the expenses of dealing with it. So that was a positive impact of silos. Now I'm going to take it down even a little further. Let's talk about you, the entrepreneur, business owners, even if you come together, if it's more than one of you. Silos are sometimes a positive thing for you because you need to think about why you're in business and you need to go to a silo by yourself. You're getting a lot of information and hearing a lot of things, but you need to go to a silo to make sure you're doing what you called for your business to be doing. And again, business is a for-profit or nonprofit when I'm talking. So often we get information, and so many times people want to be like so and so. The thing is, it's fine to be like someone, but not to be their mini me. You are you, your business is you. And sometimes that chaos comes from the fact you want to do everything the way that person does it. Unless there's an overflow of people who can't get to those people, being a mini version of them is not going to help your customers. Because if your customers were satisfied with what they had to offer, they would have became their customer. So sometimes you've got to go into a silo because you're doing a new thing. And not until you finish doing what you're doing, even some of the mentors and coaches of people have come back to them and said, I'm so glad you did not listen to me. I'm so glad you did what you had in mind. And you hear a lot of people out there that said they had a lot of naysayers, but they still went on and do it. That's operating in a silo, but you still take the knowledge, information, and wisdom and understanding that the other people have to see how yours is different. So I did want to bring those two up of how operating in silos. Yes, the Black Wall Streets, they definitely operated in silos until they couldn't operate anymore. But their example has helped many communities, multi-income, multiracial, throughout geographically throughout the world, understand how they can build up their community with the resources they have right in their community.
Now you brought up some good points there. And I think a lot of times, I do, like, even when I'm giving examples, like if I'm working with a client, I'll show them somebody who is maybe in their same genre niche, that's doing something that's, bigger than what they're doing, or in a certain way that makes sense. And then I'm like, you don't copy them. But what you do is you can take inspiration from that. You
Correct.
can see where they are getting headway, where they're getting followers and comments and things, and then, internalize that for you and your business. But it doesn't mean that you have to do exactly the same thing. And then, the other thing is too, when you talk about that for the positive impact, sometimes being in a silo of the same type of people. So for instance, we've
Mhm.
talked before about, like, let's say, and I don't know how many people know this, but one thing I do want to do eventually in life is I would love to start a mocktail business. Okay. Selling mocktails, get it in the store. Okay. Just FYI, if you ever see something in the store, it's going to be great, right? It's going to taste wonderful. But guess what? That is not my area of expertise. I can make mocktails here at the house. I can make them for events, but to get something on the shelf and have it have shelf life and the
Mhm.
packaging and all of the rest of that, there's an organization called PFAB that helps with that. So because that organization is specific in the food industry and they have experience with all of those things, it doesn't make sense for me to try to just go to a regular marketing person, just to say, okay, I went there, or just regular business meetings. Let me go to the people who know specifically about food and beverage and how to get things on the shelf. And that would be kind of like a silo because that's all that they do. They focus on that.
Mhm.
Whereas then, yeah, I can do the marketing portion, but what are you marketing if you don't have the tangible product to be able to go out and go on the shelf? And then a lot of times I think with the positive impact, taking into consideration when you are in those types of silos, people do know more than you typically, right?
Right.
And they know exactly how to not necessarily cut corners, but cut your time in half in order for you to be able to get to the next step that you need to do in order to grow. And so for me, that's an important, aspect of just kind of being in a silo, being able to go in a direction where there's one thing that people are doing and they're really good at that, and you need that knowledge. So, just going ahead with that. And so I'm gonna throw this out here because I see we have another special guest on the line. So for everybody, we are a part of a thing now called DMedi, which is Durham has a brand new project. And so it's a pilot. Well, it's a not pilot, cohort, the Durham Minority Economic Development Initiative. And this is for businesses who are trying to strengthen supplier inclusion and diversity. And so they're working with MWBEs that provide those services, right? And so for us, it's like, this is perfect because there are things that maybe we don't know about supplier diversity, people we do need to meet. And so being in this group with other businesses, and mind you, all of the businesses are different, right? But that's still a silo because it's for this specific group of people. And now it sets you up to be a little bit more inclusive with other people, but also learning specific things about supplier diversity. So, when you get into those things, that's the type of stuff that can be positive. So we're not trying to knock silos like they're just totally, completely, bad. But what we do want to do is we want to transition you into saying, well, what are some actionable steps that if people said, well, listen, LaShon, I have my business and I do want to break down some silos. I do want to encourage collaboration. I do want to expand my network. I'm giving those specific examples, but what can people do to actually get into expanding that network, to be able to work with other people, to be more inclusive, to reach out and take action right now?
So first things first is being looking at where your strengths and weaknesses are. So start there. What are you very good at doing? comes to you easily to do, interest, things, communication, things of that nature. Because when you start there, that will help you to know some of the ways that you can move forward. Look at your weaknesses and then what can you fix about those weaknesses that makes you not approachable. You know, they have a saying, in order to have friends, you got to be a friend. Well, in order to have collaborations, you got to be a collaborator. In order to have people to communicate with you, you have to be a good communicator. So being fair with yourself and knowing those things, and then actionable steps. And the reason I start with your strengths and the weak and things you're interested in, a lot of people connect primarily and first based upon similarities. This guy Miles McPherson wrote a book called The Third Option, and in it he says when somebody can connect with you, that leads to other discussions. So it's not about the look for where there are some similarities, which is why you'd be amazed at how many businesses and breaking down silos people have done by going to, they love baseball. They went to a baseball game. Lo and behold, who were they sitting next to? People who go golfing. It's about, yes, enjoying the golfing, but it allows that freedom to break down the walls because you figure out where you're similar, not different. You can find people to collaborate with. You can find people who have information you don't have. You can even possibly find customers, people who will refer you, your sponsors, as we call them. So that's an actionable step. Looking at what things is easy for you because those things also breaks down that wall of fear for you because you've got that commonality of what you can speak to them. The other ways of breaking down the silos are looking at what is your business about? Where do you want to go to? Where do you want to get to? So find people who are doing that and getting into those groups. Don't always worry about being a talker. Worry about being a good listener. Good listeners don't listen to hear, they listen for understanding. Understand why something is done and why something is not being done. Another silo I've broken down for several clients, which was very important for them, was go where your customers are. A lot of people, they join groups and organizations and trade associations, wonderful, great, but also go where the customers are. Because in that discussion, not only do you hear one, you hear what multiple people have to say, as well as the people you're directly talking to may not have been good in expressing clearly to you what's going on, but by you getting in that group, they're hearing that. They also that breaks down the wall of people thinking you're always there for just the money. Yes, it's a way to connect with them in order to have them become your customer. But then again, that third option, y'all have something in similarity. You're in the same organization. Take the chances of going to meet people who are different. You might be, I'm not ready for that. No one said you had to spend all your money. I'll use an example of myself. I was in a group where some other entrepreneurs were, and I was like, Lord, I'm trying to get to y'all level. And every single one of them were talking about a gentleman called Myron Golden. I'm saying Myron Golden. I'm a Miles Monroe fan too, but that's for another time. So Myron Golden in particular, and these people were from Australia, the UK, and the United States. And one of the persons for the United States was the one that introduced me to the group. And I was hearing what this man had done for each of them and how they were changing. I'm like, who is this person? So I went and I looked it up, and it happened to be he had an event coming up. And I said, okay, I can afford that low level. I'm going to go in for the low level. The nuggets of information, along with that group, what they were saying, proved to be invaluable for me. So I break down that silo by doing that. You know, Chisa said, I'm her mentor. She's my mentor when it comes to understanding things as it comes to marketing and social media and the technical sides of it. I'm going to call her out because she's in the group. Latasha Bescatti, people also call us the Lala, so that's why. But if I'm talking about finance, funding, strategies, looking at it from operational point of view, even connecting the people in the community, especially from a government level, and talking about that thing, I'm going to talk to Latasha. Because Latasha is that understanding stuff from a board perspective. When I was looking at something somebody wanted to do and working with the nonprofit, Latasha was like, no, that won't work. Here are the reasons why. This is not going to be good. Why I respected what she was bringing because she's on so many boards and has been on so many boards, even in charge of the boards. So I got out of silos by looking at Look at the resources I have. I value, Chisa said it well. Everybody light shines and they shine. Everybody has value. Even the bums on the street have value. Because if you look at the bums, and I learned this from the old people, bums know how to show collaboration. Because if one bum gets something, he gonna share it with the rest of the bums in the group.
Come on.
And they get it. So everybody, even who you call a bum on the street, the people with the signs, what a lot of people don't know, they interchange that sign with each other. If one is tired and lean, they give it to the next one that comes up. That's why you say that sign is similar, because they're like, it helped me. I know it can help you. So don't devalue anybody and everybody, even a child. So that gets you that breakdown. Always say, I am in learning mode. All your successful people say, I'm a lifelong learner. I learn from everything and everyone, and there's no such thing as failures. It's let me learn my lesson. That will help you break down silos. And my last one I'm going to give, so I can make sure that I know I'm giving a lot, because they say I give you a lot of information to digest. Also understand what happened to you in the past. I'm going to use my church mantra. Your past is gone. Your future will move forward. Don't let the past dictate how you do the future. Doesn't mean you get foolish. It doesn't mean you do not get wisdom. But just because someone else did that to you in the past does not mean you hold that against everybody else in the present and the future.
Okay, now hold up. You took us in a whole nother direction with that last part. I wasn't ready for that. So I had something in mind that I wanted to say. I'm still going to say that, but I'm coming back to this ending part. I love the fact that you look at the similarities, right? And so when we look at things that we like to do, oftentimes that is a good way to meet people and then just start a natural conversation. And we're here because we like this thing. Now, you know what's interesting to me is, and I'm going to say this, and parents, don't take this in a negative way, but when people get kids, all of a sudden they change. It's a different silo, right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, and I'm just giving this as a real life example. So there were things that you did before you had kids, and now you change because you do have kids, and now all of a sudden you're interested in stuff that you didn't even care about before, right? And then you're trying to put play dates together and try to, put the kids to go to this place and who can take care of this and who can drive somebody somewhere. And if you think about that, you did not care about any of that before you had a kid, right? So I want people to kind of look at your business like it is your kid. There are things that you individually may not necessarily care about, but in taking those actionable steps for your business, does your business care about them, right? So I'm going to use this cohort as an example. I did a podcast in December and I said, I do not like cohorts. And I know the reason that I don't like cohorts is because it seems like they are too long or like I am a person where just give me a one and done, let me learn it. And I say this over and over again, one class, let me take it, let me absorb it, let me use it, and then I'm good. However, I felt like this one that we're in now is different because first of all, it's only once a month, right? It's 2 hours once a month. Now, if I can't give my business 2 hours once a month to be able to, let's just say if I make $100, if I make thousands of dollars, whatever, however much it makes, it'll be worth those 2 hours of investment, right? Now, I still don't typically like the regular cohorts because typically they are like 6, 4, 8 weeks back to back to back to back to back. But what I recognize is some people do learn better like that. Now, I would host a cohort, okay, that might be 4 weeks long, but that's because I know that I have so much information to give. So isn't that weird to say I don't like cohorts, but I don't have a problem teaching for a cohort. It's just sometimes just being in the room. I think that a lot of times, and it is another little silo, there's always one person who just doesn't get it. And that drives me completely crazy, right? So I don't know. It's always one person. And I'm like, what are you not understanding? Like, did you listen? Did you pay attention? And so having to be with people like 2 months together, back to back to back, and every month I know that they're not going to understand something, it just drives me crazy. And I know that's just my own pet peeve, right? But I think that that's what I've experienced. And mind you, so this is where I'm tying it back into what you said at the end. I have had bad past experiences with cohorts, which is why I'm saying I don't particularly care for them, because that's what's happened to me. Every cohort that I've been in. However, guess what? In this season of my business, I'm mature enough to know that that opportunity is there for me. And regardless of the experiences that I have had in the past, this is setting me up for something for the future version of me. This is not even about who I am now. So if this is what I need for my business, then that's where I need to go. And so I just want you to know that there are plenty of tools and resources that are out there for you, which is where we're going next.
But
So
Keisha, if I could throw something in, because
yes,
you brought up a very, I don't want to, I don't want people, and that's the teacher trainer inside of us. You're the trainer and I'm the teacher trainer.
hit it.
I don't want people to miss some points that you gave just now in the process.
Okay.
And understanding customers are not alike. So people, sometimes we operate in our silos because we want to make all of our customers just alike. It worked for one, it should work for all. That's not the case. And what you're saying is very popular to people who are action driven. The action driven folks, they're like, yeah, let's get going. Okay, let me go and try it. Okay, I'm gonna come back next time. While that going weekly doesn't, it's a slowdown in the process for a lot of action oriented people. Now, people who need the accountability, a lot of your organizers, they actually love the week by week because they're like, this helps me stay on track week to week. I can look back where I'm going, what I'm doing, how things are going. I can make some shifts that are in there. They love that week to week because it says, yes, I can see how things are going and flowing right there. Which one is wrong? If it doesn't work with your customers. Which one is right? If it works with your customers. So that's where it goes back to what I said. The very first thing is you've got to know yourself. You've got to be true to yourself. If you know going from week to week to week is not for you, find something that goes every other week, every 3 weeks, every other month. It just because the week to week work for someone else doesn't mean that is something wrong with you. It's knowing who you are and what you are about. But I love the fact that you brought up about people with kids, and I don't want to miss this because a substantial number of people, I'm going to speculate and presume fit this category. We also have a lot of people that are part of that sandwich generation. So if they don't have the kids, they do have other people that are dependent upon them. Maybe it's a parent that's gotten older or even other family members who've taken sick. So a lot of their perspective, your perspective is going to change when you have them. If you got it at both ends, your perspective has really changed as it relates to your business, what you're going to do, what you have time for, what you would love to be a part of, because you might be that person that likes that week to week. But because of the changes that are happening in your life and the other priorities, you may have to go to a once a month, or just the opposite. Chisa may get some situations, Chisa, where you like, I can't go for something, even though it's it's once a month. I need to go ahead and get what I need because I know coming up in 2 months, I've got to deal with surgery with a family member. And I'm not going to have time after that. So that, and your perspective may change about a cohort that's weekly, that goes for 8 weeks. And you're like, good, I got what I need. I'll put it in. So I love the fact that you brought that up. And I don't want a lot of people, because a lot of people who are operating in silos, that's one of the biggest silos that a lot of folks are operating now, because they're now having to turn that corner where they're sandwiched in trying to do their business, but they got kids or other dependents that are younger than them, and they've got older or equal age dependents above them. And each of those two groups need different things.
Definitely. No. And I like the fact that you added that in. And so, in me just trying to say, your business is your baby, right? It is your kid. It is the thing that you're trying to take care of. Because if you take care of that, then that kid will take care of you. And so I understand that, who I used to be has changed. And so that means that this business is always going to change with you. And that's where we're transitioning to. Okay, so what are some tools and some platforms that you can use to help support that business and not be in a silo? And so, of course, we're going to go ahead and put that Give It, Get It membership out there, because what we saw was, and mind you, again, people, we've been working on this for about 2 years, right? From idea, thinking about it, trying different platforms, all of the rest of this. But what I found was there really wasn't a space where the business owners and the entrepreneurial support organizations were on there together. So let me give you an example. If you have like a chamber of commerce, they are there to support the other businesses, right? But they're just giving out information from the stuff that they're putting out. They're putting out their events, the resources that their members need, but it's not another entrepreneurial support organization in there, right? And then even in most of the things with Chamber of Commerce, it's kind of like, okay, well, you list your business up there and people know, this is what your business is, but maybe there's not communication online. So what we did with our platform was we said, well, listen, people can actually talk inside the platform. People can post their own events, so you don't just have to worry about it's just us doing stuff. We want everybody to know you're doing things too. So it behooves you to say, okay, well, let me join the membership because I have my stuff and I would love some more marketing. I would love for you to share my things. So when you put your events up, even what happens is you can share them directly from our platform onto the other social media platforms. Those things were important to us in order to be able to build that connectivity, because this is what happens. And I've seen it over and over again. And LaShon, I'm sure you've seen the same thing. So there are platforms that are like, okay, well, you can list your events up here, but then it's like you have to only go to that platform in order to find out about the event. So what I'm saying is all of our members will know about your event. You're promoting to them, but then we can also share your event as well. So if let's just use Judith, for example. If Judith sees another event from another member, instead of her having to go, and this is what happens, y'all, people will send you, because I've been doing this for a long time, their picture, their graphics, all of the information that goes along with it. And then they might want you to share it, which means you got to copy paste, you got to make a post. Guess what? Judith can say, oh, I love that event that LaShon is putting out, and just press it and share it immediately. She does not need to go through getting your pictures, the description, the link, or anything, right? And the other thing about this is, so let's say LaShon's having this event and she's having a charge to it. If she posts her event on something like Eventbrite or another place where her payment comes through, she gets her payment for herself. That's not something that we're taking, but now we get to help market that. So for us, the tools and the platforms do make a difference. And so I want you to know that there are multiple things that you can do. But one of the reasons that we did make our membership also free and a paid membership is to be able to give people more access, because a lot of the times that's what people are missing. So aside from us, and of course that's my commercial, are there some other tools and platforms that you would recommend that people can use so that this way they can kind of break those silos down, they can get their word out about whatever it is that they're doing and be able to market and promote their businesses?
Yes, and I'm going to start with where you started from and work from there. So
Okay.
Chamber of Commerce is a great, a lot of Chamber of Commerce is they're very specific oriented though. So they're usually specifically oriented to a geographical area. There may be specific to ethnicity, culture, things of that nature when you look at a lot of the different Chamber of Commerces. So they have a priority focus. And several chambers are also very heavily involved with procurement. And for those who don't know, procurement means things where you are contracted for services with the government entities or businesses that put out RFQs, which for those who may not know, requests for quotes, or RFPs, requests for proposals. So those may come out, and a lot of that happens in a lot of the different chambers and helping to grow businesses so they can do that. They do other things. I don't want it to minimize, but the thing is looking at where they're primarily focused, and their focus is because they are membership driven for their members. So it's the concern of their membership. And because of capacity issues, it has to be what helps the majority of members a lot of times, not all the members. So that's the pros and cons for some of that, which you see. But they are very, very specific. Even if they are a North Carolina focus, that's still a North Carolina based focus. Also, their information is based upon what they have been told within their areas. Now, the very good chambers are also involved with the government. So that's how they help and giving you information of what's coming down the pipeline from a government perspective that they're keeping up with, as well as what new things are coming in the area to help their members to get prepared for those opportunities, as well as the businesses that are coming in to connect them to other people for collaborations. Now, beyond that, you also have within the state of North Carolina, there's a blessing called the Small Business Center Network. It's out of all the 58 community colleges that are in the state, and it's funded by the state of North Carolina. The beauty of that, it's a network. So each of the colleges has a director, and those directors have expertise in certain areas, but they have their network of other directors that they can actually go to for the information, to get assistance, to get connections. If you're looking to go into another area of the state, they're there to help. However, that information is still limited to the expertise of those persons who are in the network. So, yes, the network has over 60 some people because some centers have more than one person, but it's still based upon their expertise. So, it doesn't cover everything and all things. They do their best with what they have, but nobody's going to know everything. No group or one organization, which let me put this out here before I forget. Don't go just to one organization or group and think they have everything. You want to go to all because they're experts in all and everything. You also have the SBTDC. Now, this one is SBA funded. They're throughout the university, college and university system of North Carolina, which is our four-year institutions. They have different levels of expertise, but again, it's based upon what levels those folks have information and knowledge about, and they may not have it in your area. So that's something to think about, but they do have the different groups that help with different aspects, and they're at the university, four-year college and university level. They're throughout the state. You have women business centers that are throughout the state. The first one was through what's now called the National Institute of Minority Economic Development, which is out of Durham, but they actually cover the Carolinas and Virginia as of now. And I say as of now because they're national. They went from being in North Carolina to including Virginia. So they have different women's business centers throughout the state. And even though it says women business centers, it can be used by men. So that's another resource that's available. Get involved with any of the different professional network, business chains that's in your area, as well as areas you want to go to. Okay, the ones that are in your area are versed in your area, but to go to other areas, you've got to get to those other areas. So go to those meetings, get the information, join the collaborations. There are a lot of ecosystems, and you'll hear that a lot. The entrepreneurial ecosystem. Join those ecosystems. They give you information that not only tells you about how to better your business, but what's coming down the pipeline. You need to be knowledgeable. There are national chamber of commerces, regional chamber of commerces, national business organization. For example, there's the United States Black Business Chamber of Commerce. There's the National Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Asian Pacific Islanders, and even those are broken down into Chinese, Korean, Indian. Join those groups. Join those groups of those of you planning to be some of your customers, because then you learn culturally how some things may make sense to you, but culturally is slightly different. For example, a lot of people from other countries, we talk about black, blue. They're like, oh, that is dead. Coming to an event, and they're like, where's the color? Where's the liveliness? We want color. And it's not about color just for the sake of color. That's just part of their culture. So understanding those different things and those slight nuances of different things. I'm looking at the National Small Business Association, but looking at them for a couple of years. So they're the ones that kept me up to date on what was going on with the BOI forum and what because they were the ones that actually took a lawsuit against the government for that, and they won their lawsuit. So you want to join trade associations. So I've had people who wanted to work with employees and HR. I say join SHRM. And they found valuable information because in SHRM, you have businesses, human resource managers from different levels, even human resource professionals that may even one of them may come work for your business, but it gives you ideas of what's going on, what's coming down the pipeline, what's the difference between a large business, small business. So it helps you to decipher through a lot of that information that's out there. So that's really good. And that's one of the things I did why I joined, Give It, Get It. I'm not doing it just as an endorsement, but just to tell you my reason, because it may fit yours and it may be a reason why not. I didn't want to have to go join anything and everything. Plus, I didn't know who the people I knew may not have known what was in the area. And I found that out a lot of times. For some of the people, I came back telling them about stuff they didn't even know that was in their community. And everybody who's a business owner isn't necessarily a part of some of these different things. So in order for you to get the collaboration, go and use all of these groups. And this is an opportunity for me to get involved with a lot of the different ecosystems to find out, wow, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't even know there's a North Carolina Association of Beauty Care. So simple things that you just don't know. I didn't know that board was in existence. So those are just some of the things that operate in silos themselves. But Give It, Get It, which is one of the reasons we were talking about silos, helps to break down that silo of you being wherever you're located, wondering where should I go in the state. And you may be thinking it's the neighboring county or the neighboring region, when in actuality, the folks who are looking for you and what you need may be in the western part of North Carolina, the northeastern part, may be in a Hosky. You're like, who or what's in a Hosky? But you would have known but to be in this group of organizations. So sometimes you're doing the best that you can, but by getting it in a one place, that's what helps. Because if you're working, you don't want your business to work you want to work the business such that you can let the business work itself, and while you're working on the business.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And so to me, that leads to success. Like when you're making selections as to where you spend your time, that is an important factor, because we can't get time back. So what I'd love for you guys to do right now is, if you want to scan that, give us some feedback on what you thought about today. And if you do want to ask a question or leave a comment, go ahead and put the little raise your hand thing so we can go ahead and, just make sure that this way you're heard, because we want to leave a little bit of time for that. But I do want to say to you that I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today. And I think that it is an important factor for people to understand that there are resources, but sometimes you also need to decipher those. You need to figure out where you want to spend your time and really set an intention for what you want this year with your business, because this is going to be one of the most different years in our history. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it, because it hit my spirit this morning. Okay. And I'm going to stop sharing so y'all can see my face, so y'all can see it's serious out here. I've never seen anybody take a national holiday, that's a government holiday, and decide that they're going to go ahead and just make it theirs. And as important as history is to us, and not forgetting our history, we have to understand that there are a lot of things that people did to build what we have now. And I think that it's our responsibility to be able to take that a step further. And so when I say a step further, I mean that what else can we do? This is the time now where this is the digital age. If you are not online, there will be times where your business is left behind. If you only just stay in the city or the town that you're in, it's not going to give you the growth that you could have. Now, you might be a big fish there, but once you leave that city or town, you might be a guppy, okay? And then you need to get acclimated to the community. And I'm speaking on that from experience, right? So, just taking into consideration that there are a myriad of things that you could do with your business to grow it this year. And I'm glad that you take the time to spend with us to be able to do this. And so one thing that we're doing is definitely offering expert training. Also with the paid membership, people will be able to do trainings just like LaShon did today. So if you want your voice to be heard, you want it to be recorded, you want to be able to use the content again for your business, you want to be interviewed, you want to share your knowledge because you want to grow, your business, then this is something that I think that you should definitely consider. So we do have a comment. Judith said this was an excellent session. I am truly excited to have been a part of this business organization and to network with such incredible women and entrepreneurs. And yeah, I mean, and that's what we focus on is women-based businesses, BIPOC businesses, and we're open to everybody. We don't discriminate. But it is something that when we say it's statewide, it is originally intended to focus on North Carolina because that's where we live. However, this membership is open to anybody that wants to participate. So you don't have to live in North Carolina because the things that we're teaching online, you can learn anywhere. But also when we do our in-person events, then those will be drops throughout the state of North Carolina. And we are going to come to South Carolina. Okay, let me just put that out there. Okay, we can't leave our South Carolina people out. And there are other opportunities that we see as we continue to grow. And so I appreciate you guys spending time with us today.
And I can make two comments real quick.
Two comments real quick because we're right at one. Yep.
Yeah. I just want to say this. As Eric Barry Robinson say, control the controllable. And as Latasha Gaddy likes to say, do not suffer in silence. Do not suffer in silence. Get with other people. Don't suffer with your business in silence.
Yeah, I love that. And then my final announcement is, remember when I said this is the first and the last of this year. So this one is unique. So we're going to be changing and going from the chaos to control. And we're going to be changing, of course, to go with our branding. And this series is for next month starting will be the Give It, Get It Biz series because we want to keep everything together and just keep the brand on point so that this way we don't have a whole lot of extra stuff going on, but you're still going to get great content just like this. So if you are watching us live, we appreciate you being live. If you are watching on the replay, then feel free to send in suggestions for other things that you would like to learn throughout the year. Leave comments about what you heard today. And of course, always show up and show out and continue to give it to the people. LaShon, thank you so much for being on today and for gracing us with your presence on this MLK Day. We appreciate you. You got the curls out, popping, all looking all shiny with a good smile, like you brush your teeth and everything, doing it all good. People with the background going. So, we love all of that. But everybody else, just let's have a great year. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Have a great one, y'all.